Stay tuned to Cardinal Television. Commotion's coming up next. Hello and welcome to Commotion, CTV's pop culture debate show. I'm your host, Chris Murray. If you're new to the show, here's how it works. These three panelists here will fight to defend their deepest opinions about movies, music, and more. As host, I will read off a question, give the panelists a few seconds to pitch their answer, and then watch as the commotion unfolds. At the end of each debate, I will select a winner. Whoever can secure the most wins by the end of the night is declared the king or queen of pop culture and will be awarded 30 seconds of screen time to say whatever they want. Let's meet tonight's panelists. First up, we got Ben Covert. Up next, we have Caitlin Murphy. And then we have the other half of the Covert twins, Jake Covert. First time having both of them on at the same time. Good luck to whoever is running a CG. We'll start with our first question. Jake, we're going to start with you. If you could spontaneously meet any celebrity at the grocery store, who would it be and why?
So I'm going to go ahead and pick my favorite actor, Rob Schneider. Now, I think this is, an interesting pick because he's not that famous. So, I really feel like I could go up to him and have a nice conversation with the man. So.
Good point.
Yeah.
Caitlin?
I would actually have to say a little bit of an oldie, but Jim Carrey, because I recently read a story of someone who met Jim Carrey, and the first thing that he did on a dare alone was just grab 32 bottles of Dr. Pepper out of a gas station and put them up on the cash register for no apparent reason. So I feel like he's a little unpredictable, and I'd like to see what he'd do.
Sounds like a unique experience. Ben?
I would have to go ahead and say Barry Manilow, because whenever I see him, he's very gracious and very open, and he just seems like the kind of guy that would calm you down no matter how your day was going. If you were having a crazy day, he just kind of has that calming presence that I feel like I would really take advantage of if I met him in a grocery store or something.
That's great. Jake, what do you think meeting Rob Schneider would be like for you?
It would definitely be, a dream come true for me. He's really just been a amazing person in movies, I feel like, and like I said before, a lot of people maybe ridicule him for his work, probably don't respect him, but I feel like he'd be that kind of guy that would, be at a grocery store, no one would recognize him, and you just recognize him and you'd go up and start a normal conversation with him, maybe
That's true.
Talk about his day, and it'd be very low key, because what else is he doing other than grocery shopping? So,
fair enough. All right, let's talk about the approach. Ben, you're at the grocery store, you're shopping. There's Barry Manilow. What's your strategy?
I don't know. I guess we're just in the deli line together, And I look over and I go, Barry Manilow?
Starts.
Right. And I was like, I just read that you came out as gay in People magazine. And I was like, how did that go for you? And I'm sure he'd just go ahead and tell me about his secret relationship he's had for years, and how it was really hard coming out back when he was very popular, but now in a different kind of society, he feels more like he can be very open with himself and his relationship in the community, and I feel like it would just be a very amazing conversation.
Barry Manilow is super open in this deli line.
Yeah, really. Barry Manilow's down.
Well, he's a very open kind of guy.
What would your approach be?
See, I'm not good seeing regular people I know in it, so it would probably just lead to me staring, because it's like, oh, maybe it's not, maybe I'm making a mistake. So I think he would approach me in kind of a, why are you staring at me sort of way? And then I'd be like, oh, because you're Jim Carrey and you're still alive. Okay.
Great. Jake, let's hear your approach for Rob Schneider.
In the liquor line, right?
Right. Well, I feel like, he'd just be, walking around, and maybe he's looking for something, and maybe I just go up to him and be like, hey, looking for something? Hopefully it's a grocery store I've been in before, so I can help him out a little bit, but he'd probably be very confused, wondering where he was. But
I imagine him with his hair very messed up.
Right.
He's got a stain on his white t-shirt,
Right. He's just, looking for something at a grocery store. And that's how I'd go up. I just asked him if he needed any help with anything. And then I'd be like, you're Rob Schneider. And he'd be like, yeah. And the conversation would just take off from there.
So you're picking Rob Schneider because you think nobody's really going to recognize him. He's an approachable kind of guy.
Right.
But what about Jim Carrey and Barry Manilow? Do you think?
Have you seen how much plastic surgery Barry Manilow has had? If you haven't seen him since he sang Copacabana, you wouldn't recognize him. So you'd have to be a real fan in order to be like,
gotcha.
Barry Manilow?
Okay.
That's him.
Fair enough.
See, Jim Carrey strikes me, even though he's a weirdo on TV, he is also Canadian. So I feel like he's just super please, awkwardly backing into the corner. I feel like he'd be a quiet guy. I think he'd be pretty low-key about it. Maybe the whole old baseball cap and the sunglasses kind of thing.
Nice. Very nice. Well, Ben, I'm going to give you that first point. I liked you bringing up the soulful conversation with Barry Manilow at the Deli Line. But we'll move on to our second question, and Caitlin, we're going to start with you. Who is the best musician currently in production?
See, I had a very hard time with this. I have actually two that I believe could be seen as best musicians. And at first I was like, oh, it's Ed Sheeran because his writing is amazing. He's got a great variety. He can do wedding songs, he can rap, he can do all sorts of stuff. And then I heard Kendrick Lamar's new album last night. And it was just, the music video for Humble is just insane. I love it. I mean, the song itself, the lyrics, the flow, everything. So I'd have to give it to either Ed Sheeran or definitely Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, excellent. Ben, what do you got for us?
Well, I can't say Kendrick Lamar, I guess, you know, 'cause that was an easy win. But I guess I'm going to have to go with John Legend as a current musician, just because if you listen to him sing and play piano, he's just, he is so solid with his voice and how he sings, and so smooth. It's like, sometimes with a lot of these new artists, I feel like I'm helping them sing a little bit when I watch them live. You know, it's kind of like painful because they don't hit the notes right on or whatever. But when I'm listening to John Legend, and he's just sitting there and he is obviously doing what he loves, it's very relaxing, obviously, to him and to me. And I feel like he just brings that kind of presence that not a lot of other musicians today really bring to the table.
I like that. Excellent. Jake, what do you got for us?
So I'm going to go ahead and say Bruno Mars. What I like about Bruno is that he's, you know, a newer artist that, you know, kind of has this old, you know, funk jazzy vibe with his music that, you know, is kind of bringing that style back. So, and he's a very good singer overall. He has, you know, he has a wide genre of different musics that he can do. But I really appreciate that he brings that old, you know, funk style back into popularity. So.
Excellent. All right, let's talk innovation. Now, Ben, you were talking about how John Legend, it's his real voice. It's not some sort of, you know, auto-tune or anything like that.
Right, and I don't know for sure that he doesn't use auto-tune or whatever. All I know is that when he's live and I can actually hear him just behind a piano, it's amazing. It's just, he's one of the best voices in music right now, and maybe ever. It's just butter on a bald monkey. It is gorgeous. And that's what I love so much about it.
Excellent. Now, Caitlin, you mentioned Kendrick Lamar's newest album. Do you have any favorite tracks off of it yet? Have you listened to it enough to really get into it?
I've listened to it once, so I'm definitely gonna have to go back and listen to it again. But right now, like I mentioned earlier, I think my favorite song of his is his single "Humble." I just, like I said, the flow in that song is unbelievable. I don't think I've heard something from that from a rapper in a really long time.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing, and the music video along with it, like just the metaphors and everything he puts in, like it really just makes you think. Like I watched the music video and had a completely different impression of the song without it, so it's just amazing.
Excellent. Jake, let's talk about some of your favorite Bruno Mars hits.
So
what makes him stand
when
out?
Uptown Funk came out,
Yeah.
I feel like everyone just fell in love with the same song. You know, for the first time probably in a while, you know, you just heard it playing everywhere, you know, basketball games in the hallway, you know, in stores. It was just a song that, you know, the oldies and the new kids could love, you know. Everybody was crazy about Uptown Funk, you know. Just adding that little bit of funky style into the pop music of today, and, you know, I think it's really special.
Excellent. Awesome. All right, well, Jake, for bringing up the spirit of the Uptown Funk, I'm going to give you that point right there. But stay tuned to more Cardinal Television, because right after this break, we'll have a few more Commotion questions.
Every time I hear the alarm bell go off in school, I think it's an air raid.
A lot of houses in our neighborhood have been destroyed. I like to close my ears and sing songs whenever the bombs come close.
I'm worried our new neighbors won't like us.
But I know it's all gonna be worth it. I just want my family to be safe. But these are not my words.
These are not my words.
These are not my words.
Welcome back to Commotion. Without further ado, let's jump into our third question. Who should play Batgirl in Joss Whedon's new Batgirl movie? Ben?
Well, this is a pop culture debate show, and I feel like the best character for the role would be Caitlyn Jenner because of her role in pop culture right now. I think it would be very progressive. I think it would be very touching to a lot of different people.
That's true.
I think it would really help the LGBTQ plus community, and I think it would just really stand out as not only a way to get people in the door to watch the movie, but also as a this is where we're headed with our society, and look out world, because this is what's going on.
Because here it comes. Jake, Godspeed. Let's see. What do you got?
So I have this same idea, choosing a little different actress to maybe do this. So I went ahead and chose Betty White for this.
Oh,
Right.
Oh.
So, when's the last time she did anything, crazy like this? It'd be a huge spin-off of, this crazy superhero character that, no one would expect Betty White to do it,
No.
It would probably attract a lot of attention, it would probably get people to the theater to watch it, and I think it would be a great, maybe, final role for Betty White,
Great. Yeah, Jake's not seeing age on this question. Caitlin.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to compete with such thoughtful answers, but I think that Joss Whedon should pull a Star Wars with this. I think he should cast a nobody.
Ooh.
He's Joss Whedon. He's got the name. We're all going to go see a Joss Whedon movie, let's be honest. But, it worked really well for Star Wars. Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, now Daisy Ridley and John Boyega. I feel like this would be a good movie to not only introduce a new person, but then we wouldn't have any expectations. Like, if we have another actress come in, we're going to have expectations of their past work, and this will bring something completely new and fresh to the film. So I think that would be a good thing to do.
Absolutely.
My only thing about that is that Star Wars is Star Wars. You're gonna draw attention no matter what.
But Joss Whedon is Joss Whedon.
Right, but not, more people know the name Star Wars than Joss Whedon. This is the first time I've heard Joss.
Right, he
Whedon.
can't even pronounce it right.
I can't even do it. So what I'm saying is I might not go see the Batgirl movie if I don't see people I know.
But the thing is with Star Wars 1, because Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher were nobodies, and when Star Wars 1 came out, it wasn't like the Star Wars franchise that we know it today, and it still worked super well
Right,
for them.
but that's because it was a fantastic movie.
This could be a fantastic movie.
It could be. You're right, but I don't know. Look at how much the prequels of Star Wars drew, and they were awful movies. You know what I mean? They drew huge attention, huge money, and it was lackluster, to say the least.
Superhero movies tend to do the same thing. Make a lot of money, but not necessarily the best movie.
Batman versus Superman.
Batman versus Superman.
But we're in a time where we're talking about Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy and those kinds of movies. I don't think Batgirl kind of competes with a Star Wars market, I guess.
They did it with Wonder Woman a little bit, though. No one was super familiar with Gal Gadot, and it hasn't been released yet, but the trailers look super amazing.
Yeah, we'll have to wait, I guess, and see how that movie does. But I'm going to give it to Caitlin for thinking outside the box a little bit there. So everybody is on the board. Moving on to question 4. Jake, we're back to you for this one.
All right.
If you could be adopted into any family from a TV or movie, which family would it be and why?
The Tanner family from Full House.
Ooh.
Nice mix of people. 3 dads. I think that's an interesting, combo they got going on there, and I think it would be a fun, time spending time with all those people in that family.
I would actually have to say, if I could be adopted by anyone, it would have to be Chandler and Monica Bing off of Friends. Just because, that group of people as your family has to be the best thing on this planet. And let's be real, that's the only chance any of us have of affording that kind of apartment in New York City is if we got adopted by one of them. So I just think that'd be great. And who wouldn't love to say that their uncle was freaking Joey Tribbiani? I just think that'd be amazing.
Fair enough. Ben?
So I kind of went a little different than you guys. I went with a cartoon family, and I chose The Incredibles.
Oh, that would be good.
Very good choice.
And I guess I kind of have to ask for clarification. Would I get superpowers, or did I just go in by myself just into their superhero family?
We could definitely see what they can do for you.
All right,
superpowers.
because I just think that adds a whole new perspective on a family.
That's very true.
And superheroes. It adds this whole other section that I'm not saying that the Tanner family and the cast of Friends is a bad family by any means, but I think that just getting adopted into the superhero family just adds on this whole new level of experiences that you wouldn't get to have if you weren't in a family like that.
That's very true. Jake, what do you think it is about the Tanners that stands out and makes you want to join their family
You
versus
know,
these two?
I just think they're such a close, closely knit group of people, and you're always going to get a nice moral lesson at the end of that 30 minutes.
life's
So
definitely gonna be a
right,
lot more
right.
emotional.
I'm definitely going to be a good kid at the end of being in that family. So I definitely may not have the experiences as an Incredible, but I will definitely enjoy my time with the family.
Excellent. And Caitlin, what about the cast of Friends as your family stands out to you?
Well, I think, one, there would be never a dull moment. I mean, let's be real, between Monica having a turkey stuck on her head and the ugly naked guy that they see outside their apartment, there's never a dull moment. But at the end of the day, too, as crazy as they can seem, they all are there for each other. Like you always have at the end, they're always down at the coffee shop all talking and bonding. And I feel like that kind of close-knit community that can also tease with each other is a really good place for a family.
Excellent. Awesome. Ben, did you have anything to add?
You talk about never having a dull moment. Yeah, if you're part of a superhero family,
Walk
it's
us through a day in the Incredibles family.
Oh, that would be the thing. You couldn't talk about what an average day in the Incredibles family would be. It'd be constantly, changing and different. You got to fight a different superhero this or supervillain this day and a different supervillain the next day, and it's not only coming together as a family and really learning to love that group of people, but you're also coming together to fight evil and save the world.
Absolutely.
How can you beat that?
That's a fair point. Did anyone else want to add any final arguments before to top the the superhero family here?
I mean, all I gotta say is Joey's fun and Rachel's rich, so my life will be great.
That's true.
There's more people in my family, so
Okay.
I have that.
There you go. That's true. But Ben, I gotta give it to you. You convinced me that superhero lifestyle is really worth having. That sounds.
Oh, it
great.
is.
All right, but stay tuned. After this break, we'll have the final 2 questions for this season of Commotion.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it. When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director here, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for.
And to see you makes me proud.
I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to Commotion. We're going to move on to our last 2 topics. Caitlin, we're starting with you on this one. What is the best Pixar movie?
Hands down, the best Pixar movie has to be one of my favorite of all-time childhood movies, and that is Toy Story. I feel like Toy Story was the first, big Pixar movie. I mean, it was so creative with the different toys. It was hilarious. I went back and watched it a couple weeks ago, and it was still hilarious to me. And I feel like it's one of the few Pixar series that the movies didn't get bad as they made more. Toy Story 2 is great, and Toy Story 3 personally had me sobbing in the movie theater.
Right.
I mean, so I feel like just the quality of the movies are everlasting, and they're just always going to be great movies.
Excellent.
Well, Caitlin, I'm going to have to disagree with you, and I'm going to have to say that Monsters, Inc. is the best Pixar movie of all time, and not only because it's such a great movie by itself, but also because Monsters University is also a great sequel that I would entertain an argument to say that was better than Monsters, Inc. But just talking about Monsters, Inc. right now, it has some of the best cartoon characters in any movie. It has some of the best lines. It has a great plot, a great storyline, and its rewatch value is through the roof.
Jake.
So I am going to go with Cars, the original Cars. I love the characters. I love the background of, they used some of the old racing cars that were actual old racing cars and used them in the actual movie, like the King and Doc Hudson, stuff like that. And I love Lightning McQueen's character, his evolution of, coming from a selfish kind of viewpoint to, selfless, helping everybody else.
Absolutely. Very true. All right, let's talk specific characters. Now, you mentioned Lightning McQueen, obviously.
I did.
But what are we talking about for each of the movies you picked? The main characters and their relationships. What does Monsters Inc. have over the other two here?
Mike Wazowski is what they have over the other characters. He's one of the best comic relief characters in any movie, maybe. And he has some great moments that, in a really serious situation, it just makes you laugh. And it's really refreshing and really nice to see his character throughout the entire movie.
Caitlin?
I would have to say just the relationship between Buzz Lightyear and Woody is hilarious, especially with Buzz not accepting that he's a toy.
Right.
I mean, how can you beat the line where Woody is like, you are a toy, you are a child's plaything, and Buzz Lightyear just goes, you are a sad, strange little man. Like,
Classic.
comedically, how can you just think of anything better than that in a Pixar movie? And as well, I really like the whole idea that they just absolutely hated each other, but by the end, they're saving each other from off the back of the tailgate of the truck and making sure all the toys get home safely. I love their friendship in that movie.
Awesome. Jake, did you want to add any other characters other than Lightning McQueen?
I love the relationship between Mac and Lightning McQueen. You know, his truck that drives him around. And right when he loses him at the beginning, that's a huge turning point. You can tell that they're like really good friends, even though Mac kind of works for Lightning McQueen. But I love their relationship. I think it's a good one. So
awesome. Did anyone else have any? Ooh.
As far as relationships go, I think Monsters Inc. has one of the best relationships between Sully and Mike. It's really a love-hate relationship at heart because they love each other, but Mike really pushes Sully to be the best monster he can be. And it really shows it in the movie, like in that scene where they're in the middle of the scare room and Mike turns around and put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. And then at the end of the movie, during the credits, is maybe my favorite part of the film is during the credits when they actually bring that production to life, put that thing back where it came from, or so help me.
Can I just say that's one of the greatest things about Pixar movies is those animators take the time and money to make bloopers for us to watch.
Yeah.
Like they don't have to do that, and they're all amazing. Regardless of which movie, if a Pixar movie's got bloopers, you know it's going to be hilarious.
That's true. All right. Well, you know what, Ben, I have to give it to you for bringing up the put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. But we're going to move on to our final question, which in order of celebration of today's date, the 20th of April, known as a marijuana holiday, if you will. Should marijuana be legalized nationwide? Why or why not? Ben, why don't you start us off here?
I'm going to have to say no. I don't believe in the legalization of marijuana for recreational use. I do believe in the legalization of marijuana for medical use, however. I think people use medical marijuana too frequently as an excuse or a argument to legalize marijuana. Mm-hmm. And medical marijuana is used at a far less rate than recreational use. And I just think the effects of recreational use of marijuana, I just don't think it's very good for the progression of our society as a whole.
Okay, excellent. Jake? I'm
going to have to go ahead and agree with my brother here and say no. I don't think it should be legalized. Mm-hmm. I think it should be legalized for medical use because it obviously helps with things like Tourette's and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's one of the biggest gateway drugs that anyone could use. You start using marijuana, it leads to everything else. So I think there's a lot of danger that comes with using marijuana.
Right. Caitlin?
I'm going to have to disagree with both of you and say that I think it should be legalized. And I have a bunch of reasons why.
Okay.
For starters, look at Colorado and Washington, D.C. They have legalized marijuana recreationally. And Colorado, especially because they were one of the first ones that legalized it, they not only have seen their incarceration rates go down because you're no longer arresting 18-year-old kids with a dime bag of pot, but also all that money that they're making from marijuana, because it is a $24 billion industry right now, they are putting into their education systems, which is improving their public education systems. And on the other hand of that, I feel like if we, it's no different than cigarettes and alcohol. I mean, I personally don't believe it's a gateway drug. Mm-hmm. I don't. I think that's like saying if you enjoy beer, you're going to become an alcoholic. But I think if we regulate it, just like we regulate beer and cigarettes, which, as an aside, cigarettes are way more deadly than marijuana, but we have those that are legal. I think that Colorado, they do it, you can't smoke it until you're 21, you can't smoke it outdoors, and if you have so much of it, you can't drive. I think it's simple like alcohol to regulate. And on top of that, with the drug cartels, if we regulate it, the FDA can manage all of the weed that comes into our country, so there's no longer a risk of buying marijuana on the streets and funding the drug cartels, so we can focus on the more deadlier drugs like heroin and cocaine and things like that.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think there's always going to be a black market when it comes to drugs. I don't think, there's always, you can get prescription drugs now, but you can always get prescription drugs from somebody else, from not from a doctor. And I'm going to have to disagree with you again and say that marijuana is different than cigarettes and alcohol, because I know people who use and even abuse alcohol a little bit and tobacco. And they still live normal lives, and they're still the people that I knew always growing up. But when it comes to marijuana, I've seen people absolutely throw their lives away because they finally realized what was important to them, and they ended up quitting sports, and they ended up not doing well in school because they just didn't care. And it's just I think we are in a society now that cares less about what marijuana does to you because we want to legalize it as millennials, as a generation. But I think we really need to look at the fact that, no, it's not physically addictive, but emotionally and psychologically, I think it is addictive, and I think it does cause some problems.
I'd have to disagree with that just because I think it's a case-by-case thing, because I also know people who use and abuse alcohol, and in my opinion, they're completely useless. They don't do anything but drink on the weekends. And I also know people who use marijuana, and they're completely productive members of society. I think it's kind of a negative stereotype to assume every single person who uses marijuana is just sitting on their couch smoking weed every day. I mean, there are plenty of people who recreationally use marijuana who have successful jobs, who have families, who have aspirations and careers, and they go out and have hobbies and things like that. And on top of that, I don't understand how the addictiveness can play a part into it, because cigarettes are addictive as well. And we have proof that cigarettes cause stroke and lung cancer and heart attacks, and we have no proof that marijuana does any of that, but yet we still let 18-year-olds smoke cigarettes.
That's very true. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this question. If I had known we had such heat, I could have made it a double segment. But Caitlin, I'm going to give it to you for sticking out as the 2-on-1 situation there. But according to my scorecard, Ben, you're our winner tonight, which means you're going to have your 30 seconds to talk about whatever you want. So a big congrats to you. But first, be sure to follow us on Cardinal Television Fisher on Instagram and Facebook, and tune into Time Warner Cable Channel 12 for this and other great programs. Ben, your 30 seconds. Take it away, sir.
Well, I would like to use my 30 seconds to thank Caitlin for all the time and effort she has put into CTV here. This is her last episode of Commotion, and she will be graduating, right?
Yep.
So I'd really like to thank you for all the time you've put in here, helping us and helping the production of everything here. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Woo. Thank you so much. It's been great. It's been the greatest 4 years of my life, definitely.
Big congrats to Caitlin, and good luck at grad school.
Thank you.